Hello, I am starting this vlog incredibly late. It's actually now Saturday. I just never filmed an intro clip because I went on my holiday on Monday, but I do have clips from my time in Budapest, so I'm going to insert those now. So I had a pretty good reading week, actually. I finished my audiobook of Scythe by Neil Shusterman, which was a reread for me, and I'm not going to talk about it in great detail here because I do actually have a full spoiler-free review of this book and a free spoiler-filled review and chat of this book and Thunderhead. So I'm not going to talk about this at length, but I really enjoyed it. Again, it is a dystopian / utopian future of the human race where all forms of death have been eradicated, and so population control is managed by the Scythedom, which is a group of individuals who are responsible for gleaning people, which is the only form of permanent death that now exists. It's got a lot of political undertones, it's incredibly insightful and very shocking in places, and I really enjoy it. Then I read Tunnel of Bones by Victoria Schwab, which is book 2 in the Cassidy Blake series. I read City of Ghosts earlier in the year. We follow a character named Cassie who can see ghosts and whose job it is to help ghosts move on to the other side. And she has a best friend who also happens to be a ghost, and she gets herself into all sorts of trouble. It's a middle grade book, so nice and easy to read, light fantasy. It's urban fantasy as well, so there's not a lot of world building, and it's just a really enjoyable book, and I really had a great time reading it. It's not especially long, just 280-ish pages, I think, and it was actually the perfect book to read whilst I was on holiday, which is when I read it. I then picked up The Raven Tower by Anne Leckie, which is a fantasy novel. I'm not actually sure if it's sold in the adult or the young adult section, but I think it's fine in the YA section if that's where they sell it. I suspect it probably is. But it is very strange. So I don't want to tell you too much about what this book is about, but essentially it's told from the perspective of a god, and so it's sort of first person for part of the book, and then some of the book is in second person, which is the god's observations about another character, but that is told as if the god is speaking to that character. So the second person part of the story is told in past tense, so I observed you doing this, I saw you do that, I first met you when you did this, etc. And to be honest, the first person perspective is told past tense as well, but at different points in time, and there's sort of a mystery going on here as well. Like I said, I don't really want to tell you too much about the plot because I feel like the majority of the enjoyment of the book comes out of discovering what's going on as you're reading it. But if you are interested in picking it up, just bear in mind that the writing style is very strange, and also the ending is not particularly conclusive. It feels very much like there could be more books following this, but actually that's not the case. This is a standalone. The author hasn't ruled out the possibility of writing sort of companion books set in the same world, but there won't be a continuation of the story in this book. So the ending is not as conclusive as I tend to prefer. It didn't frustrate me as much because I think I've got a little bit less critical or a little less bothered about open endings, but this one is fairly open-ended, so I know that that frustrates a lot of people. So if that's the kind of thing that bugs you in books, then this might not necessarily be the best choice. But if the concept sounds interesting, then it is very different to anything else I've ever read. And this is the book that we were reading for my local book club, and I think it's going to make for some really interesting conversations at that, so I'm really looking forward to going to that next week. But yeah, really interesting book. Did I love it? No. Was I interested enough in it to finish it? Yes. Also, I listened to the audiobook and read along just because it was available for free through my library, so I quite like to make use of that when I can, because I feel like you get a really super immersive experience with a book when you're listening and reading physically at the same time. So I think that that did add to the story in some ways, and the narration was very good too. So yeah, this one was a weird one, but I enjoyed it, didn't love it, you know, an interesting read. And those were all the books that I read this week. Well, I say all, that's 3 books finished in a week, so that's pretty good. So I'm going to leave this vlog here. I hope you really enjoyed this one. I hope you had a really great reading week. Let me know if you read anything that you really enjoyed or recommend. But that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks. Bye.